So I did that 90s show season 1 by itself, and I was going to split these up into 2 for season 2 and 3. However, I think Netflix released them pretty dang close together, knowing that it was probably going to be the last of it, and I understand why. Chase Lackey here with the Blue Futon, reviewing that 90s show season 2 and 3. What's about pretty simple premise. You have the 6 high school kids in Point Place, Wisconsin, shenanigans during the summer through and throughout in the grandparents' basement. And of course, you still have love, you have pot smoking, you have, first time having sex, and you get some of the cameos of Seth Green, Jane Silent Bob with the Jason Mew, as well as Kevin Smith, one of the Chungs, and you do get a little bit of that, but the light at the end of the tunnel was totally just shown throughout the series, because you're just like, you're trying so hard to be like the original, but you cannot beat that 90s show, and the gags just weren't funny when it came to these teenagers. Yes, you have the Kelso character, which he is the best one in my opinion. He keeps the Ashton Kutcher alive, but everyone else, it just felt flat. But when the grandparents were on screen, full-fledged. When Donna was on screen, full-fledged. You get what I'm saying? When the old cast, maybe it's just me knowing that I've watched that 70s show, Malcolm in the Middle, and those type of shows during that time, where Scrubs, and it's just that I'm holding it very close, and maybe I'm more cynical and more just extreme about, trying to, not have, what am I trying to say? A bias, that I am having a bias with this show. So, the plot is simple. Smoking pot in the basement, shenanigans, love. That's really all it is. Through and throughout, that's the story. Period, dot, end of subject. And like I said before, you have good subplots with the grandparents, like the vacuum. That's funny. Smoking, like a cigarette, that's funny. And there's just good comedic timing when it comes to the older cast. But like I said, every time the younger cast tries to replicate something, it just doesn't work. Seth Green, he has some funny comedic moments, but there's this weird one where he's like has $1 million on a bed. A little awkward. There's these little awkward things like Doug. What they do with Doug in this movie or TV show, little awkward. Just things like that where it just felt forced. And I think that's the best way to say this show. Season 2 and 3 felt forced. And you just saw that after each episode, you're just like, you're trying too hard. You're trying too hard. You're trying too hard. And I see Netflix going, But I also see not just Netflix. This is where you can say, yeah, Netflix executives, they just didn't let it go on for too long. No, I also felt the audience kind of be like, by just curling up in the fetal position saying, stop, it's okay, just let it go. Let this go. And they finally let it go. And you could kind of, but here's the weird thing. When listening to Jason Segel talk about Freaks and Geeks, where he's like, the craft services were slowly getting worse and worse and worse. I don't know if it was like that, though. So maybe that's where Netflix didn't do right. Is because how season 3 ended was kind of like it's not how it's supposed to end whatsoever. Because if they knew it was going to get canceled, they would try their damn hardest to bring back Ashton Kutcher, Topher Grace, Mila Kunis, and I'm not going to act like I know how to pronounce his name. I'm sorry, man. But Vilma, he's also in NCIS now. I'm sorry. Wilmer Rama, I'm sorry. Slap myself in the face for being a stupid boy, alright? Guilty as charged. Like, for a fact they knew that was the end, they would bring him back. But how they ended this, I want to call it a cliffhanger. But you know how things end on like a nice, or a nice laugh out loud moment? This ends on a, kind of note. But overall, that 90s show, I was gonna say that 50s show, that'd be an interesting one. Anyway, that 90s show, it tries, it really does. There are decent comedic moments, again, with the older cast. And again, this could be my fault. This could be 100% my fault for having too much of a bias and too much of a love of that 70s show, that it's hard for me to just not be very cynical and hard on that 90s show that maybe I'm aiming too hard, but it just didn't work for me overall. So a combined score for that 90s show season 2 and 3 will receive a 2.5 out of 5 with Futon, so it equals that 50%. Let's see what the Critics News Scores gave this one. So season 2, it's a 88 with 8 reviewers and 74 with the audience. Then we are going to go to season 3. And season 3, it looks like has only 3 reviews, 72% with the audience, and it was a positive. Again, I can't say there's rhythm to this show because I just didn't work for me. I'm sorry. So we have a combined with just these two, an 88, my 50, and around a 77, if not mistaken, with 73. Chase Hockey with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One of these Futontopia. You Blue Futon, take watch for great day. Watch us take tomorrow. Week from month on your front race. You go freak one of you. Peace and love. And